Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we have a very beautiful day, a very special video for all of you. Today, as we are working with the SEL 2488, the Satellite Synchronized Network Clock. Well, as you must be aware, I am establishing a research lab about protection systems. And inside this protection lab, I have several equipments, and some of them are designed for phaser measurement units or wide area monitoring, control, and protection. And one very important aspect of that is having a very precise and reliable timestamp. And the SEL 2488 is a satellite synchronized network clock. This is top of the line device from Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories, providing a very precise time that can be used for time synchronization in this important lab. Okay, well, today the job is very simple but very interesting. Today, what we are doing is this device is coming outside the box. It's coming from the box. It's just arrived from the factory, and this device is having the factory default settings. And today, we are the first person to put on this device, to switch on this device, and we need to do some configuration. Especially today, I have several interests, but one of the most important is configuring the IP address of this device. What is the reason? My research lab is having a small local area network, and there are some IP address over there that they are already taken. And what we want to do is customize those IP address in order that we can get access to this beautiful SEL 2488. Okay, but let's jump to business. Let me show you what is the motivation. Well, as you must be aware, I am creating this research lab. Thank you everyone for supporting me and helping me with this. As you can see over there inside the lab, we have two Ethernet switch. Okay, the switch A, the switch B. As I said before, the idea is that dot switches are similar to switches that we can find at modern substation, and they are connected to the router, and the router is going to the control center. Okay, as I say before, we want all the protection devices inside this network. And if you look my YouTube channel, there is a specific video for configuring the IP address of the SEL 751, the feeder protection relay from Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories. In that video, we set the IP address of that device from the factory default to IP 192.168.1.23, okay? But today we have here the SEL 2488, that is the satellite synchronized network clock, and what we want to do is setting the IP address of this device inside the domain of the local area network and preparing the device to be used in our research lab. Okay, to be honest, what I will do is I will take advantages of the functionalities coming from this relay, from this device. The 2488 has something that is called the HTTPS device web page. It's basically something similar to a web page that you can get access to the device and control and manage configuration settings. What I'm telling you is this device has an own website running inside that if I run the connection by a PC, I can use a classical web browser and get access to the device. And at that moment, I can control the configuration settings of this device, okay? Well, what you need to understand is that we can do that using Ethernet connection. For this video, I will focus only on the Ethernet port that is located on the front of this device. I will focus on the ETH F, or the Ethernet located on the front side of this device, because it's very accessible for me at this moment. Well, something that you must realize is that when we are doing this configuration of the SEL 2488, you are going into something similar that the protection engineers must do when they are commissioning the device, okay? The job today is very simple. It's similar to the commissioning network that any protection engineer must do at the field. And I love this because my students will have some experience similar to what you have at the field, okay? Of course, I will not do all the commissioning network, all the commissioner settings, but it's just to give you a test, okay? Something that I would like to clarify is my videos are not intended to substitute the official instruction manual or any documentation coming from Schweizer, okay? Those videos are just to give you a taste about what you need to do, but it's not enough. You need to read proper documentation, and Schweizer Engineering Laboratories is creating proper documentation. Also, for safety reasons, you must follow all the Schweizer Engineering Laboratories documentation, okay? But coming back to my video today, the plan is, okay, we have the SEL 2488, and we are using the Ethernet port, the ETH F, to connect an Ethernet cable to a PC. In this case, I am using a laptop that is running Windows 10, and the idea is that this machine is Ethernet DHCP enabled. That means that allow the easy configuration of the IP address on my SEL 2488. Then when I establish the connection, I will use the web browser, and I will go to the default address coming from this device. This device is coming from the box directly from the factory, and we are talking about that this device is using the IP 192.168.1.2, okay? The plan is that we will access the device with this IP address using the HTTPS device web page. Then we will change some configuration. Particularly, we are trying to change the IP address. We are not trying, we will do it. We are changing the IP address, and from there, we will move on, okay? Something that you must understand is that this device is coming from the factory, and this device is coming with a default settings. IP address for Ethernet F is 192.168.1.2, okay? But something very important is, in few minutes, I will go to the real device and do all the process. But when you are doing the commissioning of this device, you will realize that when you try to access the web server, you will realize that this device is coming with non-administration username or password. What I'm trying to say is this device is coming from the factory, and there is not administrator account. That means that the protection engineers that is receiving this brand new device at the substation, the first step during the commissioning is defining and creating an administrator account. And I will do that, okay? Something that you must understand is that inside the SEL 2488, there are at least 4 different levels of access called roles. The top of them is administrator. The administrator is the most powerful role, and this administrator account has the possibility to access everything in this device and modifying full access, viewing and modifying settings, okay? Engineers, there is a role that is called engineer, and in this case, the user has access to almost all the device settings information, but the engineer cannot go to the user account management. On the other hand, there is another role that is called user manager, and this account have access to the users, but there is not access to any other technical functionality. Okay, if you need to access the technical functionality, go with an engineer account. Finally, there is an account that is only used for monitoring purposes. That is the role of monitor, and the user has only access to the device setting. Okay. Well, as I said before, the first step when we start to commissioning this SEL 2488 is to establish and define an administrator account. The administrator account requires a username. You can use a username that you can remember easily, but then you will need a password. As you can see here, you will need the password and then confirm the password, and then you submit this, okay? Password is extremely important because for cybersecurity reasons, you want to have a strong password. Um, Schweitzer called this the passphrases. The passphraser is the word that we use as a password. And for Schweitzer Engineering Laboratory, for SEL, they establish a minimum requirement for that passphrase. The passphrase at least must have uppercase letters, lowercase letters, digits, and special characters, okay? And also there is a minimum number of characters that must be included. In a minute, I will explain a bit more when we move to the web browser and start the process, okay? Okay, let's do the following. What we will do now is we will go to the web browser and establish the communication between the laptop and the SEL 2488. And from there, we will establish the communication, defining the new administrator account, and then we will discuss the setting of the IP address for the Ethernet port. Well, it's time to be real, and the first step that I will do is I will be sure that we establish the communication between the laptop and the Ethernet port F located at the SEL 2488. The first step that I will do is checking the communication, and that is very simple. I will use the pin 192.168.1.2, okay? As you can see over here, what I am doing is pinging the port, and as you can see, the computer sent some packages, and the packages were received by the SEL 2488 and sending back. There is a sending and receiving packages, and that confirmed that everything is fine, okay? Probably communication engineers must be laughing at me because I am using this command prompt in order to be sure about my communication. Sorry, I am power engineer. I just trying to be sure that basic stuff are covered and basic stuff can be used also for troubleshooting, okay? In this case, I just demonstrate that the original IP address of this device is 192.168.1.2, and now I am sure that there is a proper communication. I will close right now the command prompt, and the next step is I will use a classical web browser. In this case, I am using the Google Chrome, okay? Google Chrome, if you want to use another of the web browser, Microsoft Explorer or anything else, is up to you. I will use for this video, for this purpose, I will use the web browser that I use usually, and that is the Google Chrome. Next step, I will put here 192.168.1 2. And as you can see, the web browser is trying to establish the communication with the IP address that I defined, and that is the 192.168.1.2. And the situation is that Google Chrome is trying to establish the communication, but when try to establish the connection, Google advised this is a non-secure connection. Okay, as you can see here at the top of the web browser, near to the address, you can see that is non-secure, and then you have this advice. What I will do now is I will go to advanced options, and in this case, I will say, please proceed to 168.1.2. Something that I would like to clarify, something similar can happen, or even worse, if you have a strong firewall on your computer or antivirus. Please be careful. That is not my situation. In this situation, it's only Google Chrome stopping the communication with the SEL 2488. However, right now I click here, and as you can see, I am using the web browser to access the IP address of the ETH F, the front Ethernet connection of the 2488. And right now I have here at my web browser the information that I would like to show you. If you are looking this video here, you can see that the web browser say that this device is at the very beginning of the stage of device commissioning. Okay, what this web page is trying to tell you is that this device is coming from the factory, and as consequence there is not configuration inside this device, especially there is not administrator account. What I will do now is I will set up an administrator username and password. As usual, I will use my nickname fglongatt. Of course, if you want to use a very personal or different username, it's up to you. What I suggest is please keep track of the username and the password. The administrator username and administrator password is very important if you are planning to make changes in the future with this SEL 2488. If you lose the administrator account information, of course there are options, but one of the options is resetting the device to the factory settings. And sometimes that is not the best decision and also not the clever one. What I will do now is I will define a password. As you must remember, I said there is a basic requirement for safety reason, for security reason. SEL recommend that you use capital case, uppercase, or capital letters. You use lowercase, you use number and a special character. Of course, I will not tell you what is my password here, but I am including a set of those requirements: capital letter, lower letter, and then also including a special character. Okay. Now I say submit, and the web browser is connecting to the SEL 2488, and right now we have created an administrator account. Now the device has registered our details, the username and password for the administrator account. What I will do now is come inside this. I would like to go inside this device. I will use my very new administrator account, the username, and then use my password. And voila, we establish communication. There is communication between the 2488 and the laptop. The web browser is showing you the web server that is working inside the SEL device. As you can see, this is the basic information coming at the dashboard. And the basic information that you can realize is There is not Ethernet cables connected to this device in the rear side of the SEL 2488, but there is one connected here. And in this case, we have an Ethernet cable connected to the front Ethernet port. Okay. As you can see, this graph here, there is a summary about the different satellites available for making the synchronization and precisely define the time. As you can see, there are at least 9 GPS satellites, 10, and there are at least 7 GLONSS satellites. And that is changing, of course, depending of weather and many other conditions, but I will not go there. And here you have a bar plot that you can see how strong the signal is in each of those satellites. And also there is a map that is called sky view that is representing the relative location of those satellites. As you can see over here, there are different signals intensities defined in decibel per hertz. Okay. I will not go in those details. Probably again, my communication friends, communications engineers and top experts, they are laughing at me because I am trying to explain something that is more from them. But I will keep my discussion and my showing up about this web server. There are different areas over here. There is an area for reports, for time management, for network management, for account management, for security and systems. What I will do today, because I am really interested in setting up the IP address, I will only focus on this section of the dashboard. One section here, the subsection is the IP configuration. As you can see, we are jumping in, and right now we are inside the network interface settings. And as you can see, right now we have a cable enabled at the Ethernet F, and the IP address is 192.168.1.2. What I will do now is I will change this configuration. Okay. I will say that the IP address that I want for this Ethernet port, the port F, is 192.168.1.20. Okay. In this case, the last point is 20, and you must remember this device allow going to 24. But at the moment, I will say 20. What will happen now is if I say submit to the SEL 2488, the device will receive the information, will receive the new IP address, but I will lose the connection between the device. What is the reason? Well, if you remember, we established connection using 192.168.1.2. If I update the IP address to 20, of course, the already established communication will not work longer. What I will do is right now, and I will show you, if you look over here, I am sending submit. And in this case, you can see that now it's looking like the computer is thinking, the browser is thinking, and that will never end. Okay. What is the reason that this will never end? Because you are trying to access and make the communication using this IP address that we update and is no longer valid to access the device. Okay. At this moment, what I do is very simple. What I will do is just close the web browser. Now, what I will do is something that I used to do. I will go again to the command prompt and I will show you the device has changed the IP address to 198, 192, 168, 120. Okay. What I am doing now is the classical pinging. And as you can see right now, the device established communication with this IP address using 20 at the very end, and information were sent to the device and came back. Okay, if we try to make ping to the previous IP address, the device will not respond because we change the IP address for communication at the Ethernet port F of this cell to 488. As you can see over here, we try to establish the communication with the previous IP address and it's not longer available, okay? What I will do now is I will go to the web browser and I will go in using the new IP address to show you the settings, okay? Let me close here the command prompt. Now I have in front of me the web browser. Again, we are using Google Chrome and the job is writing here, establish here the IP address, the new IP address, 192. Okay. Again, the web browser come back to me. Chrome say to me that is an IP address that is not secure. And I will say, okay, I know that I am connected to a Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories device, a SEL device. Those devices are secure for me. I accept and I say proceed. And right now we are at the web access of this device. And what I need to do right now is I will show you. Let me use my username and the password. Remember that we are using the administrator account and log in. And as you can see now, we are at the main window of this website of the device. And what I will do now is go to network management. I will go to IP address, and as you can see here, we are we already we already update the IP address of this device. Okay. Of course, there are many other configurations that I must do later in this device, but again, this is a basic video. It's not the full commissioning of the cell to 488. It's just presenting you a general description and a general information. Okay, what I want to do right now is just a quick setting that I want to do. As you must remember, this device is coming from the factory, and there are some basic information that I would like to uh, improve. As you must remember, this device is coming brand new from the factory, and here there are some default settings. For instance, there is a default setting if you want to display the date at the front panel, the LCD front panel that they have, and also the format for the time display. To be honest, we are okay showing the 24-hour display local time, and I will do please submit. And right now the device changed the way that is displaying the time, the format of this display, and right now it's showing a format of 24 hours. Okay. The other thing that I would like to do quite fast here is that if you look over here, the configuration that is coming in this device is that the local time is defined by the time zone -8 hours. And to be honest, I am located in Norway. My research lab is located by now here in Norway, and that is not the time that we want to use. We want to establish that we are using the European uh, uh, daylight saving, sorry. And what I want to do is right now, we are located +1 hour. Let me try here. Normal condition should be +1 hour. And let me update this. And the device is showing right now local time in a very precise fashion. Okay. Right now I update the time zone. The local time zone is +1 hour from the UTC, and also I define that this device will use the European Union daylight saving. Sorry about my early pronunciation. And right now the device is set by, for the local area, local time here in Norway. Okay, well, there is only one step here that I want to do before I move back to the presentation. As you must be aware, this web browser, if you are still using the IP address and you don't log out, that could be a safety risk. For that reason, the last step that I want to do is log out. And right now, I stop the communication between the SEL 2488 and the personal computer. And this is something that I highly suggest. Please log out of any session when you are working with this kind of sensible devices, in order to keep safety and security in the cyber physical system. Well, it's time to close this video. It's time to finish this video. And today we have a very exciting time. Today we discuss how to make a very basic configuration of the SEL 2488. Basically, what I have done is one of the steps that you need to do when you are commissioning this device at this station. We create an administrator account using the web server, and to do that you need to establish the communication between the laptop and the SEL device. In this case we use an Ethernet cable and use the Ethernet port F of the SEL 2488, and we connect the computer using a laptop, and in this laptop I use the web browser and I establish the communication, define the administrator account, then I modify the IP address, and also I change the time zone of this device. In this case I include the data for Norway, my actual location at the moment. Okay. This video is a bit longer than the Spanish version. If you want to see a very short version, but of course it will be in Spanish, there is another video already created in Spanish. Finally, I would like to say again, those videos are creating just for giving you a taste about functionalities and how to do things with the SEL devices. But again, my videos are not intended to substitute or to shortcut the official documentation created by SEL. My videos can be useful for you, but I highly suggest that you must read the official documentation of Schweizer Engineering Laboratories in order to operate the cell devices. It's very important that you understand that my videos are not a substitution of the official videos and the official documentation coming from cell. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from this video. If you want to keep watching more of my videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for the people sending email and making questions. I will try to come back to you as soon as I can, but this is a very busy time now. Thank you again for watching the video. That's all for today. I will see you in my coming video. Thanks again. Bye now.